Hi, this is leadership architect Martha Wilson, and I was just finishing up some session notes from a client, and I've been noticing a theme that was coming up and just really felt inspired to put together a little video for you today. And the theme that I was noticing coming up as I was working on these session notes was this whole thing around disappointment and failure. And I know that doesn't sound terribly uplifting, but it's something that has been coming up for me in various forms over the past couple of weeks. And I just wanted to share a little bit with you. You know, it's kind of funny. Even look, I was watching the Kentucky Derby, back last weekend, and just seeing everything that was going on around maximum security, the jockey, so convinced, so completely convinced that he had won. And then after that long 14-minute wait to find out, no, he was disqualified. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't know jack about horse racing. I watch the Kentucky Derby. I watch the races because I think the horses are pretty. Okay, that's it. I know nothing about racing. I know nothing about jockeys or horses or anything like that. But I will tell you, after serving as an Army officer, after 27 years undercover with the CIA, after being a base chief, after after teaching and coaching, teaching leadership and coaching inside my organization, after retiring and joining the corporate world at the senior executive level, I do know a thing or two about what makes people tick and what stops them from going after something that they really, really want, or even stops them from allowing themselves to want it, to go there. In the past, I would teach my clients that there was no such thing as failure. And I still believe there's no such thing as failure. And I do still teach that. The concept or the framework that I would use is simply that you have what you expected or wanted to happen, and then you have what really happened, and the space in between is information. But have you ever noticed that sometimes there's an event, there's a situation that seems to leave a shadow? So in that idea of there's no such thing as failure, you've got what really happened, you've got what you expected or wanted to happen, and the space in the middle is information. When it hits you that way, you're like, yeah, okay, that's information. I can do something different. I can make a difference. Yeah, it's annoying. Yeah, it might set you back for a day or so, but so what? You shake it off, get over it, move on. We got that. But have you ever noticed that sometimes there just seems to be this thing that leaves you saying, ever since that day, I just secretly, if I'm being really honest, I trust myself less, I trust the world less, I trust God, universe, higher power, whatever that thing is outside of you, I trust that less. And I will not lie to you, I have been there. In fact, I've noticed that for a lot of myself included, a lot of my clients and myself included, for those of us who came up through our professional career in a structured, organized environment. For me, it was Army and government. For some of my other clients, it was a corporate career. I saw it in the folks who worked with me when I was in my corporate executive position. There's this element of it's beyond my control, and I can't get my hopes up. I won't let myself want it, whatever it is. And it can be a different thing for different people. It might be that next promotion. It might be a new assignment. It might be a shortened work day. It might be a new house, or it might be the privilege of teleworking. It could be different things for different people. But the point is that there's something in there underneath. It's running in the background, just under the surface, that says, I can't let myself want that. And it's what I call a disappointment shadow. It's a little bit different than failure, because failure seems like a doing thing. Yeah, I just didn't do this right. If I had done this differently, I would have gotten a different outcome. Great. Now when I try it again, I will do something different. But this disappointment shadow hits on more of a being level. And that's why it comes in on that Leadership Foundation piece. If you join me on the monthly Foundations of Leadership calls, you'll hear us talking about these various layers of your leadership foundation and how it shows up in the way that you're being. So let's talk about this disappointment shadow. How does that impact the way you're being? Now, here's the interesting thing. As I talk to you about this, many of you are going to be sitting there saying, yeah, that's exactly what I think, and I am absolutely right, because this is absolutely logical. It is logical that I should not get my hopes up, because there are only X number of positions. Promotions work in this way. It is not realistic. There's that word again. It is not realistic for me to expect that I could have X or Y or Z. It is not realistic for me to expect that I could grow my business by this much in this amount of time. I can't get access to those kinds of people. All these stories, and it sounds very logical and very clear. But here's how you know that it's actually a disappointment shadow. You find yourself either not allowing yourself to even get your hopes up, to even want something enough to get enthusiastic about it. You find yourself pulling your goal back to something that you know you can achieve, something you absolutely know how to do. Here's the thing. When you are on that leadership path, when you are acting from your leadership foundation, when you are standing in your core as a leader and setting a goal, inherent in that goal is the assumption and the understanding that there are parts of it you do not know how to do. Remember my story? I'm sure you've heard it, talking about the baby who's trying to learn to roll over, and he's actually not trying to learn to roll over, he's reaching for something. And it is in that reaching that he develops the capacity by rolling over. It's the same thing that happens with these goals. But when we've got this disappointment shadow, we won't let ourselves go there. We won't let ourselves want. We won't let ourselves reach. We'll dumb our message down to fit what somebody else says it's supposed to be. We'll hold ourselves back. We'll set a lower goal when we know we can reach, when we know we're just going to take the steps. Oh, by the way, that's actually not a goal. That's a project list. So simply notice, where are you holding yourself back? Where are you refusing to allow yourself to get your hopes up? Where are you saying, no, I'm a pessimist by nature. I am a realist by nature. I won't put myself out there. Just remember, the universe cannot give you what you are not prepared to receive. And if you're not open to receiving it, if you're not open to putting yourself out there, if that disappointment shadow is following you around, it can never come. One last piece I want to leave you with. A disappointment shadow can be a very elusive thing. So it's really, really helpful to have a specific technology and specific assistance to get through it. So if you suspect that it might be impacting you, make sure you join me on the Foundations of Leadership calls. Once a month, I do one for my Greatness in Government clientele. Those are the folks who are specifically still in their government jobs and their government worlds as a government leader, and that's the context they're operating in. And then the other one is for my entrepreneurial leaders community, the entrepreneurial leaders, those business leaders, these professionals. Now, quite frankly, you get to choose which is the best fit for you. The information is the same. The technologies are the same. Interestingly, how do I want to say it? The events and implications are the same. The only thing that's really different is the language and the context. So if you join me on the Greatness in Government call, you're going to hear me talking a lot about governmental structures and regulations and how we manage our careers there. And if you join me on the entrepreneurial side, you're going to hear me talking about how this applies in our business and how it stops us or supports us, depending on where we're looking. Either way, choose your community. You can visit me at greatnessingovernment.com, get your name on the email list there, and you'll get the invitation to the Foundations of Leadership calls. Or visit me at marthaawilson.com and put your name and email address there, and you'll get the information to join me on those Foundations of Leadership calls. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of my community. I hope that this has been uplifting for you, even though we're talking about disappointment and failure. Because trust me, when you lean into that, there is magic in there. Thanks for being here. Take care. Bye-bye.